Good evening, Tony Dottino here, the founder of the USA Memory Champion and the author of several books on what do we do with our brain, how do we make our brains healthier, what are some of the elements that we can live and change in the lifestyles of our lives. And I just continue to read now the science that's catching up with us in terms of what should people be doing. And so here I was reading over the weekend. I think, as my Live with Tony fan club knows, I do lots of readings over the weekend. So I pile things up, and in the middle of watching half times and period breaks and stuff, I do lots of reading. And here I was reading the February issue of the Tufts Health and Nutritional Newsletter and found a very interesting article on lifestyle. What is it we can do that takes care of our heart circulatory system and also is the best way to protect our brain? And as you've heard me talk about the six elements that ensure our best opportunities to take control of our brain health, you will find that many of these are very similar to what we've been talking about over the past 6 months as we talk about key factors for brain fitness. What was interesting about this article is it also talked about the importance of heart health. And so we also have been talking about the difference of heart health and brain health. And in fact, the things that are good for your heart are also good for your brain. And that if you really focus on these, you can get a double on these, meaning if you focused on one versus the other, you can get a benefit from both. The activities you do for one will benefit the activities you get for the other. So that's the good news. So let's go through what they're saying. There is a heart-brain connection. We need to recognize that there's a substantial amount of problem of age-related cognitive decline and dementia in the cardiovascular system. Now, why would that be? Well, we've been talking about the importance of oxygen to our brain, and what happens to our cardiovascular system when it's not operating at peak capacity. It has an impact on our oxygen levels that feed our brain, and therefore it can impair cognitive function. Heart disease, diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, high cholesterol all increase the risk of dementia, which more and more people talk to us about and worry about the risk to themselves over these types of things. And does it have an impact on cognitive function? And the answer is yes. At Tufts, they've said considerable research on the amino acid, and several population studies have found that between the homocysteine levels in the blood and cognitive impairment. And so research has found a relationship between the small blood vessels and how we carry oxygen through our brain, through our body's cardio system that impact the disease in our brain. So that then goes on to justify basically justify why you want to work not only with your cardiologist, but you'd love to work with somebody that's a mental coach, somebody that can help you bring the elements of brain health to your day-to-day activities. And Michael Dottino has been working on an online course, which will be coming out shortly, on 6 key factors of brain health. And I'm going to read to you here this February Tufts newsletter that matches some of what he's already got in that course, which I think is going to be fantastic. Well, the first one I've already discussed is take care of your heart. Now, that's not in the 6 elements, but we know that your blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglyceride levels are all important for heart health. Well, the better your heart is working, the better your cognitive functions are going to work. So we know that one. So let's stop right there and go to the next one. How about get moving? Engaging in moderate physical exercise for 30 minutes. And this one's all over the place, anywhere from 3 days to 5 days. But you know what? Engage in moderate exercise and gardening and walking and bike riding, and swimming. I mean, there's just a whole list of things you can personally figure out, even on your own, are the things that work for you that get you moving. And that's the point, not sitting down. So at nighttime now, I give up 45 minutes of TV sitting on the couch. I get up and do stretching exercises, or I might do some 5 pound dumbbells. But the point is, I get up for 45 minutes and make a point of moving. The next one we talk about here in the Tufts newsletter is eat right. Consume a healthy dietary pattern such as Mediterranean, reduced sodium, a DASH diet, or an AHA heart healthy diet that they talk about on another page in the article. So you go back to the page in the article, and it talks about the importance of nutrition. And if I can get to page 2 here, they talk about dietary guidance that improves cardiovascular health, which also improves your brain health. So we know that nutrition is significantly important to both of those functions in our human body. Watch your head, reduce your head of injuries, obviously, but create something that it's improving your learning. So our brain wants to learn throughout our whole life. So what you want to be able to do is, in your mind, you want to keep it active. You want to keep engaging in cognitive activities that are novel, that help you to exercise that which is going on up in here. And so anywhere from education, taking a new course, reading a different book, learning a new subject, going on the YouTube and getting an application on how to do something, but learning how to do new things and being cognitively engaged to where it's a challenge is also something that's very helpful. Then we know sleeping. We talk about sleep and sleep and sleep all the time, and we know we need to get a good night's rest of sleep. But how do we get good night's sleep if we got apnea, or we have stress and anxiety, or something bugging us, and we say, God, we all know. I don't think there's anybody that really enjoys having 3 hours of sleep and feeling tired as they go through the whole next day. So what are some of the things that you can do? Well, I have found that you can start shutting down your activation systems. I shut down phone calls, emails. 8 o'clock at night, I'm done, because if I let it go past 8, I start finding at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I go to bed with this stuff, and my mind doesn't stop, it keeps on going. So what I have found is I got to shut it down. And at some point when I shut it down, I want to be able to relax. I want to go to bed, and I do crosswords, and I don't go to bed thinking about crossword answers. I do wake up with them sometimes, but I don't worry about doing crosswords, or I'll do word searches. I'll do arrow puzzles and things. So I do a few things before bedtime, and then I shut the light, turn the light off. I don't watch the television. I don't watch TV in bed. That's something, I just have found keeps you awake. And if you're watching, like if I'm watching a sporting event and my team is losing or not winning, or they do something crazy, that drives me a little crazy and doesn't give me the rest that I need to go back and sleep. And then you want to stay socially active. My goodness, we're seeing more and more the crucial importance of being socially active with people. And when I say socially active, you do not need to be the life of the party. You do not need to go out and start being the big showman, or you got to go do cartwheels and things. But it's really simple. I was at a Publix grocery store on this past Sunday to go pick up a New York Post that comes in on Sundays. And I just asked the person at the service desk, you're such a friendly person. You're such a welcoming individual. What is it? And she said, what they teach us here is to smile and just say good morning or good afternoon, and smile at people when you look at them. And I found that to be so simple, right? Look at people, smile, and just say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And she said to me, it's amazing how easy that is, and then what a response I get from people. So these are just a few of the things that I am finding that the research is supporting more and more as to the impact that these things have, not just on your heart health, but also on your mental health. So, how do we get you to start to think about any one of these things? Okay, so getting into a mild exercise program, just go take a walk 5 minutes. I've read 5 minutes, 10 minutes walk after dinner helps the processing of your sugars that are in your body's bloodstream and things, and certainly helps your heart at the same time. Eating right is just a balance of, do I mix, carbs and proteins and fats that are unsaturated and not the mono fats, the good fats that you might. We need those fats because it coats the sheath of the myelin firings of your neurons. What are you doing for mental challenges? I tell people a mental challenge, you know what, learn how to improve your memory. So we have the online Maximum Memory Mastery course. Go find something that challenges you in a library. It doesn't, you don't have to go online, take a walk, go to the library. And if you're somebody that doesn't have to go during its busiest times, go in there when it's empty and go look at the magazine rack. I know sometimes I go to the library, I just go through the magazine rack. When I used to go to Barnes and Noble, just go look at their magazines on their magazine rack and see something that might be of interest to you. We know we got to get some sleep. So here tonight, shut the TV off at 8 or 9 o'clock and go find a book or a puzzle or something that is relaxing. Phone calls are dangerous after 8 o'clock at night. Depends on who's talking and what they're talking about. So maybe some music, put a candle on and just kind of sit down and meditate for a little while. But what you don't want to do is keep your brain active and thinking of the day's problems or challenges, and think of something during the day that you did that was wonderful, and think of something that you plan to do tomorrow that's equally as wonderful. And then think about somebody you haven't talked to for a while and pick up the phone and give them a buzz. Say hello, see how they're doing. Just reacquaint yourself with people, and so how are you guys making out? How are you making out during the pandemic? What are you doing with the kids? Or just catch up on what I call the history book of what people have been doing over the last 2 years. Interesting conversations, very helpful to your own self, and all make a difference. And then, of course, all of this is managed within how you're processing your own emotional responses to everything today, whether you're putting it into a stress mode, whether you're putting it into a interesting, I'm learning, I'm enthused about something mode. And what we would want to do is balance your scale out so you have more things that you're passionate, excited, enthused about, and less things that are causing you negative stress. So that is my Live with Tony. It is hard to believe it's January 31st already. We are at the end of the first month of I don't even want to call it a new year anymore. It's the first month of 2022. So enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back on this coming Wednesday.